Like, they knocked it out of the park. The way this drives, so much better than even some compact performance cars. Like, it's so tight and so stiff. Hey, what's up, fam? Today's a super exciting video. We have the 2023 BMW X3M, super performance-based SUV. This is for the person or family that's really into sporty cars, but now they need a little bit more room, but don't want to sacrifice the performance. This checks a lot of boxes. So super excited to be able to show this off to you, and we are going to go for a drive. Huge shout out to AutoNation BMW here in Roseville, California. They currently have it. I'll make sure I leave their information in the description below. So if you do want to check out some of their cars, definitely you can use that as a resource. I love the front end of this car. Like, it is so clean. Like, I love what they're doing with their X3 lineup. Everything's super sharp, but I love these areas here, of course, which is great for airflow, as well as just the aesthetics. Like, it looks really, really good. And then the way they integrated the sensor, that's pretty much what a lot of manufacturers have to do today, is find a way to make it look as good as possible while still giving you all the advanced features. And I think that's always a good way to be able to do that based on the setup here. So love the front end, love these wheels. These are really, really nice, super sticky. One way that you can tell that a tire is like really performance based is if you see a lot of rocks just sitting on there casually, little thin ones. That shows how sticky these tires are. So definitely a performance tire. So depending on where you live, you may want that, or you may need to end up going with something that's more all season, or dedicated winters, depending where you are. This does have the X-Drive, their all-wheel drive system, so it's really great for putting all of this power down. I'll include the Monroney, so that way you can really look at all the specs. That's not what this video is about. I really just want to show off what the interior is like, the exterior, and then of course take it for a drive and show you how this thing is. So I included some sound clips of the startup. I hope you like what you heard. It does have this nice throaty sound, and normally when I make these videos, like when I'm talking on the outside, I'll have the car off just so it's clear, but I really want you to be able to hear this exhaust note and just be able to see how like grunty it is. Like, it's so clean. I love the way this looks. And some people don't like the lights on the back, but obviously it's personal preference on what you think is really cool or not. I personally think this is really clean, and just the way it sits, it's so cool. Such a really cool car. So let's take a look on the inside. That way you can get a better vibe of the interior. This is still the older setup, so it's not the fully digital display like the newer ones have, but I think this is still an awesome feature. And some people prefer this over the latest technology with the full screen going pretty much halfway through the dash. So totally up to you, but either way, I think this is great. Love the carbon bits here, and then I love the color of the seats. I'm very curious though how this will look over time, because sometimes these colors fade and transition with wear and heat and things like that. So it looks really great now. I just hope it still kind of has the same nice finish and things like that down the road. But otherwise, such an incredible interior. You do have a lot of piano black in this, and I'll go ahead and turn it off for a second. You do have a lot of piano black in this, so if you are someone that's really particular, which I'm assuming if you're getting this car and you're a car enthusiast, you do want to keep things as clean as possible. Some places can actually do basically a clear bra wrap on some of these, so that may be something worth considering, because this is a lot more than I've seen in other cars lately. So just something to think about, but you can always just keep a microfiber cloth, call it a day. You have the wireless charging there, and then you still have the USB cable. It's USB-A, not USB-C. You still have like your dedicated buttons. So this is really cool, especially if you really like the older style, or like their last generation of, the technology on the infotainment system and all that good stuff. I think this is cool. You do have this really nice, basically like stitching around the shifter. I think this is really clean too, and it's like fits perfectly in the hands. And then you have the M logo right there, really cool. Do have a decent amount of space and then you do have a light back here. And then this actually has USB-C, which is nice. So that's a cool touch for sure. And then, yeah, it's just a really cool package. I like the steering wheel. Because this car is bigger, I think this is fitting, but I was in the M340i the other day and I feel like it was too thick. I wish they thinned these down just a little bit. I was in an Audi RS3 just last night and I feel like it was just such the perfect levels of grip. Like this here on top is what I think should be like the thickest points of the steering wheel. But enough about that. I know you're really excited for us to take this for a drive, so let me head to show you the back and the space in the trunk, and then we'll go for a drive. So here's a look at the back. I love how consistent the design is from like the front to the back. You're not losing any quality, especially for the price of this car. I think it's a really good price. I mean, for what you're getting, this is a really performance-based, compact SUV basically. So for this, you're getting tons of performance, but you're getting such luxury quality materials being used. So that's super nice. This is $79,000. I know I put the details probably already, but I'll show you again. So yeah, $79,895. The way they have this one optioned, super cool. It has a lot of great features in here, but here's a better look at the back. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what you have and what it's like from my point of view. Some of this may look distorted, so that's just the camera, but of course in person this looks really incredible. So I hope that you are able to see that. And then if there is one in your area and you're considering one of these, like, I definitely recommend checking it out just so you can get an idea. And then here's a look at the back. So this here is for the license plate and all of that good stuff. So this gives you a reference of how much space you have. This to me is pretty comparable to just like a smaller sedan. So it's not the biggest thing, but you do have that option to be able to split those seats, put them down, and then this here to be able to cover, all of your stuff when you're out and about. That way it's not fully exposed from this back window. And then just to close it, simple. I do love this like deck section here. I think that's really cool. And then this is actually metal. Hopefully you can see it. This has that nice aluminum or whatever the material is. Looks super nice. I think that's a cool little touch there. Let's take a look underneath, because most cars are like really cutting back on what they're including, but surprisingly you actually get a nice spare back here, which is really cool. All right, so I'll show you how I configured my M1 settings. So right now I have the engine in Sport, transmission in D3, the chassis in Sport, and then steering in Sport Plus, just so it's a little bit stiffer. Traction controls on, there's no need to have that off for this video. The car literally only has just a couple miles on it, so we're not gonna be doing anything too crazy, obviously for break-in period and all that good stuff, and then sound control on. So just so you have an idea. So one of the very first things that I'm noticing, outside of all the things that I love, the seating position only goes so low for this car. So just something to keep in mind depending on your height. Otherwise, the way it feels and the visibility is incredible. I just wish the seat went just a little bit lower, but it's nice that you can see all of the hood lines. It just makes it so much easier for pointing this car in different directions. You have all those great reference points. And I love what they did with the exhaust sound here. You just have this nice throaty growl. Even at lower RPM, like you just can hear it. So it just makes the experience so much better when you have a car that sounds incredible, which is why I'm sure most of you who are looking for this car online right now are definitely considering this as an option. This segment is getting more and more competitive, but I'm excited to be able to show you how this one is here. So if you enjoy that nice sporty feel, you definitely get that with the suspension here. It's not punishing in any way, but depending on how many people are always riding with you, or if you have a lot of commuting to do, or whatever the case is, for some, I definitely recommend doing a test drive just so you can make sure that this is a good fit. Maybe you have your spouse with you, on often occasions. So just something to think about, because not everyone's into a sporty drive. So with that, keep that in mind. Just like make sure everyone's comfortable, and long term, everyone's going to be happy. Because if you're getting this car, you're most likely considering it because you're going to have your family with you. But if you already have a BMW, this is going to be like just another day. So just something to keep in mind. But it definitely has a car-like driving experience. I drove the Macan the other day, and that one also has that same like ethos to it, where it just more drives like a car versus an SUV. This has that same character too, which is really nice. Body roll, very, very minimal. Super sharp, very planted. I can only imagine what the aftermarket support would be for this car, because this, with maybe even some stiffer sway bars and a couple other suspension upgrades, and you'll lower it, things like that, that'll make this car really, really comparable to some of the 3 Series models that they have. Super nice. I absolutely love how comfortable this car is too. It feels really comfortable, where if you want to do this on a really long road trip or anything like that, you'll be great. I know sometimes people go for these super sporty seats and things like that, but after a while that can get old. But this here is like your daily driver for your family. Everyone will be happy. And then, like I said earlier, the back, all of that carries over too, so you're not lacking any quality in the back area or anything like that. It's very consistent. You just have this nice, luxurious experience from front to back, which is super nice. So leave a comment below. Let me know what other cars you're cross-shopping this with. I know for some, they're probably thinking the Macan S or even GTS. Forgot on the pricing on the GTS, but for those looking for performance options, that's definitely one. Some may be considering the Audi SQ5 or even SQ7 if they need more space. So right now we just hit a pretty significant bump, and I love how the suspension kind of settled so quickly, where it just has that sport stiffness to it. Just gave me an impression of like what this would even be like. Not that you're gonna really track this car, but if you did, you could actually have a little bit of fun. Let's say you took it out like once a year just for kicks. I think this car would actually hold up pretty well. So let's see how it handles this U-turn. This will give us a really good sense of the body control. The turn-in is way sharper than I thought. Most SUVs, even if it's performance based and things like that, struggle when it comes to body roll and how the weight transfers from left to right. You can usually feel it. This one shocked me a lot. Very, very impressive. So again, if you're looking for more of a car-like experience, but you need more space, or you're just ready to have a taller car because of how easy it is to get into and the practicality, I think this is really nice. I think the tough one would be for someone that's considering like, hey, should I go M340i or should I go this route? When it comes down to if you want the practicality or not. I think it's cool to be able to have everything in one package that can grow with you versus going with one where you're sacrificing more. I think this checks way more boxes than some of the other sedans. And these SUVs that are, for car enthusiasts are getting so good, so competitive. And then depending where you live, I know a lot of people live where it snows or has really like severe weather. That just makes it a lot easier, because then you're not in a lower sedan having to put it through all of those kind of tougher situations as far as like the road conditions and things like that. So this is very, very impressive. That U-turn just told me everything about this car that I needed to know. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in comfort and see how it settles. And let's put steering in comfort too, just for kicks. So I thought it would be a little bit more have a wider range of how it adapts to the road in comfort mode. It's still on the stiffer side, but it does make it a little bit lighter for sure. Let's see how it feels on this bump. Yeah, it definitely softens up, but I thought it would be about 30% more soft versus what it is now. Let's go back to M1 with our previous settings. Yeah, visibility is really good. That's the one thing that's always a plus when you have an SUV, is just visibility's night and day. My wife and I right now have one just compact car and then one sport SUV, and it's always nice when I get in that one because I don't have to spend as much time kind of like double checking my, blind spot and things like that. You're just sitting so much higher, so it's a lot easier. Yeah, the sound is incredible. And all the windows are up and things like that, so it's sound deadening and all that stuff, like definitely more muted inside, but trust me, sounds really good both inside and outside. It's so sharp. Yeah, barely any body roll, super stiff. If you're the type of person that really likes to feel a lot through the steering wheel and just through the chassis, this car definitely checks that box very well. We went over just a couple, like, not even potholes, but like some issues in the road, and I could feel exactly what the tire was doing on the right, how basically it kind of like went in and kind of dipped to the right and then into the hole there in the ground. Like I could feel everything translating so crystal clear. So if you really like to feel what's going on, and then especially if you're driving on the limit, that's something that's super helpful to know exactly what the tire is doing. This car does that very well. All right, cool. So I hope that gave you an idea, just my first impressions after driving this car for the very first time. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, 10 being the greatest, in the SUV segment for more performance-based versions, I would definitely give this probably a 8.9. The only thing I would knock it on is, especially if you're the type of person where this isn't going to be only you driving or riding in this car, double check with your wife or whoever that person is to make sure that they're going to be comfortable, because again, for us car enthusiasts, this is perfect. Like you can daily this all day long and you don't care how stiff and bouncy it is because it's exciting and fun. But for other people, just double check before you bring it home, because if not, they may be a little bit more surprised and then not want to drive in this car with you to go places. But it's incredible. Like they knocked it out of the park. The way this drives so much better than even some compact performance cars. Like it's so tight and so stiff. And for the price, considering what some of these dealerships and manufacturers are charging for you know, performance-based hot hatches and different things like that, I think this is really a sweet spot, especially under 100 grand. Like, it's hard to get this much performance and practicality for the price. So again, hope you enjoyed this. And again, huge shout out to AutoNation BMW in Roseville, California. I've included their information in the description below. So if you are in the market for this or another BMW, definitely check out their website. And then huge shout out to Justin. I'll leave his contact information below as well. So if you have any questions about this vehicle or any others, you can definitely reach out. Catch you in the next video. Peace.